Terry Moore for the department, and I have Ms. Denise Rios and Ms. Erica Carter. Ms. Karen Thompson's going to be observing, but I'm not going to have her announce unless the court needs her to, because she won't be speaking. Ms. Rios, if you could announce.
Denise Rios, Family-Based Safety Services Caseworker.
Okay. Ms. Carter.
Erica Carter, the Family-Based Safety Supervisor.
Thank you.
Brad Harrelson, I'm the attorney for Cassandra Suarez. Ms. Suarez is present. Cassandra, would you announce just so that we can hear that your audio is on?
Cassandra Suarez here.
Jeff Petty, respondent, attorney ad litem for the respondent children.
All right, Ms. Moore, it's the department's request. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll call Ms. Rios. Ms. Rios, what is your connection to Ms. Suarez and the children?
I was assigned as the Family-Based Safety Services Caseworker for the family.
All right. And when did you become assigned?
The case was referred to Family-Based Safety Services, referred and opened on October 20th of 2022, I'm sorry.
2022. Okay. And now the department actually became involved with the family a couple of months before that. Is that correct?
In August of 2022.
All right. And without needing to repeat everything that's in the affidavit, can you briefly tell us what was the initial concern?
The initial concerns, we had received a report alleging substance abuse by mother, most specifically meth use in the presence of the children. And there was also concerns of domestic between mother and the father of the unborn child, and that there was drug use concerns for him as well.
All right. Now, at the time that intake took place, was the department able to make a determination as far as the outcome of the investigation?
The outcome of the investigation, the allegations were found unable to determine, as mom had denied any domestic violence in the presence of the children. She was testing negative through her OB. However, one of the kids was not aware of drug use. The other one was aware of drug use in the home, but stated that she did not know where it was kept. And I believe that's it.
Okay. So family-based safety services reached out to the family and opened a case with them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So when you initially contacted Cassandra, did she agree to work services?
Yes, she agreed to work family-based safety services.
All right. And did she tell you why she thought that was a good idea?
She had verbalized that she knew that she was clean at the moment because she was pregnant, but she was afraid that she would start using after the pregnancy, because that was her pattern, was to use after. That's what was keeping her clean.
All right. And did she acknowledge that there was some domestic that had occurred?
Yes, she did.
All right. So now as I understand it, or as I recall, you made contact with her in late October, around the 25th. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. And did you two develop a plan of service for her?
Yes, on October the 25th, we completed a family strength needs assessment. And then from there, I created a family plan of service.
All right. And did you meet with her then again, as I recall, around the 8th of November?
That's correct.
All right. And what happened when you met with her then?
On that day, I went over her family plan of service. She agreed to the services on the family plan, and she signed the family plan.
All right. Now, can you describe for us what the services were on the family plan of service?
Well, from the family strength needs assessment, we felt that parenting was a need for her because she wanted to work on being more of a mother and not a friend. She also wanted to learn how to better discipline the children. So I had referred her to High Sky Services for parenting because she had also admitted to the domestic violence between her and the father of the unborn child with an incident just 2 weeks prior. I had referred her to the family shelter and also to Angel Flores, which is a therapist. I also referred her to ADAC for a drug and alcohol assessment, and then I was asking her to submit to random drug testing as requested to do so.
Okay. And then you met with her again. So at that point, she was cooperative and she signed the plan and indicated that she was going to participate.
She was very cooperative at the time, yes.
All right. Then, as I understand it, you met with her again on December the 1st, and she told you something about not qualifying for services through the family shelter.
Yes, she told me that she did not qualify for services through the family shelter because they felt that she was more of the aggressor rather than the victim.
Okay. So was there another way then that she could address that issue?
I told her that we would go ahead and just focus on her working with Angel Flores.
Okay. And Mr. Flores then in the counseling could address that issue.
Yes.
Did
Okay.
you make the referral directly to Mr. Flores, or how was she supposed to connect with him?
I had made the referral to Angel Flores, and normally the therapist contacts the client or the client contacts the therapist if they haven't heard from them within a certain period of time.
All right. And so did that occur in this case?
She told me that she had tried to reach out to providers, but that she had not been able to get a hold of them. But when I reached out to Angel Flores, he told me that he had not had any contact or any sessions with her.
All right. And did you determine whether or not she had done the ADAC assessment?
She had not.
Okay. At some point in the process, did you get the idea that things had changed, that her attitude toward working the services had changed?
Not necessarily. That was kind of sudden.
Kind of sudden?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
She was communicating with me up until, I would say, the very end of December. The last time she communicated with me was I was delivering gifts from the angel tree. She asked me to drop them off at her mother's house. I checked to see if she had gotten them from the front because I dropped them off in the front and I never heard back from her. That's the last time that we spoke.
All right. And now, as I recall, she was living with her mother and a couple of her siblings, that is Cassandra's siblings, were living there as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point, Cassandra and one of the children moved out.
Yes.
All right.
Cassandra and Kalia.
All right. So Cassandra and Kalia moved out, and Ariana remained at the home.
Yes.
Okay. And did she say what the reason was?
For her remaining in the home?
Well,
for moving?
Well, for leaving, for she and the one daughter to leave.
She had reported that there was conflict between her and her mother.
Okay. All right. And so then she and Kalia move out, and Ariana remains in the home. And you said you took some Christmas things to the house and you left them outside?
Yes. So by that time, she was no longer living at that residence. I want to say she was staying with a brother. She was supposed to give me that address, but I contacted her that evening. I believe it was December 22nd, because I needed to deliver the gifts. And she said she would be going over to her mother's house that evening and asked me to deliver them to that house.
Okay. And she asked you to leave them outside?
Yes.
All right. And so you did what you were asked and you left the gifts outside?
Yes, I did.
All right. Now, after that, did you have any contact with her, or were you able to make contact with her?
I attempted to make contact with her, but no, I was unsuccessful.
Okay. How many times after that, up until the time that this motion was filed or petition was filed, how many times would you say you made an effort to contact her?
Probably, with phone calls and messages, I would say probably like 10 to 15. And then we had a special investigator assigned to assist in locating her and the children.
And what, if anything, did you learn from about schooling for these two children?
So during the time that I was trying to locate the family, I contacted SAISD, and I found that, well, I knew that Kalia was not enrolled in school because mother was homeschooling her. But I found that Ariana had not been to school one day this semester. And then she ended up unenrolling her from school.
All right. So did you get any kind of confirmation that mom was homeschooling her?
No, I didn't have any communication with mom.
All right. So you had educational concerns regarding the two children.
Yes.
All right. Did you have continued concerns about substance abuse?
Yes.
All right. Can you explain those?
So that concern came from, there was a collateral that had reported, they were concerned because Cassandra had isolated herself and the children and was even declining any assistance or transportation. So they were concerned. And also because the oldest one was not going to school.
Okay. All right. Now you said that mom was pregnant. Has the baby arrived yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
And the person that or the father or alleged father of the child, have you had any communication with that individual?
No, she told me that they were separated, that they were not together.
So what kinds of things were in the plan of service that mom had originally agreed to?
High Sky Services parenting, individual counseling with Angel Flores, a drug and alcohol assessment with ADAC, random drug testing, and then she agreed to attend the course, The Dynamics of Family Violence with the Family Shelter, but that was the one that they felt that she would not be a good candidate for.
Now, at some point, because you couldn't locate them, did you request the assistance of a special investigator?
Yes.
All right. And what was the outcome there?
He was able to locate the family's address, and he made arrangements. This was on January the 20th. He made arrangements for me to be able to meet with the family on January the 23rd. I went on January the 23rd to the house. I could see somebody looking out the blinds. I could hear activity inside the house, and no one answered the door.
Right.
At that time, the special investigator got in contact with her to see what he could set up or to see what had happened, and she told him that she was refusing to cooperate with the department.
Okay.
Sorry,
now
would you restate that last statement, please, Ms. Rios? She told him what?
That she was no longer going to work with the department, that she was refusing to work services.
So the concerns then involve mom and substance abuse.
Yes.
Okay. And potentially the domestic violence that has occurred.
Yes.
Right. And the fact that mom is now pregnant. Did mom ever do any kind of drug testing for you at all?
No.
Okay. And of course, the fact that the girls don't seem to be enrolled in school.
Yes.
Is it all right? Are there were you able to determine whether or not there's any kind of support system available for them?
From what I understand is maternal grandmother maybe has some contact with the family, but not very much.
Okay. So the maternal grandmother is Cassandra's grandmother. Is that correct?
It's her mother.
Oh, her mother. Oh, so that's the grandmother of the children.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the woman that they lived with for a while.
Yes.
Okay. Now the address that you went to where you could see that somebody was in the home, you heard the noises and people peeking out the window. Do you know, is that residence shared with anybody, or do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you recall when the mother is due, or when the baby's due? Did you get to work with her long enough to determine how far along in the pregnancy she was when you first made contact with her?
That's the question that I ask in the very beginning, anytime that I have somebody that's pregnant, but I don't recall the date.
So, you've not been able, when was the last time you were able to put eyes on either of the children?
I believe it was December 9th. It was December 9th.
December the 9th, okay. And you have confirmed that they are not attending school.
Yes.
Are there any other concerns that caused the department to feel like services were appropriate?
I would just say the main concern is she does have a history of substance abuse. And then we also have the history of domestic violence. And I think that it would be important for her to learn healthy and appropriate coping skills so that she's not self-medicating with illegal drug use.
Is this her first contact with the department? In
No.
terms of, have there been any other findings or rulings in the past concerning her?
She does have history. I know that there was a case in, I believe, 2020 where they did offer services. She refused at the time. There was no legal intervention at that time.
So what services, if the court grants the petition, what services is the department requesting that mom participate in through this case?
I would request a drug and alcohol assessment with ADAC and that she follow the recommendations provided, random drug testing, individual counseling to identify her triggers and learn healthy and appropriate coping skills, as well as address the concerns of domestic violence and the parenting.
Okay. And would you be requesting at any point that either of the children be like hair follicle tested or something to determine if they've been exposed?
Absolutely. Yes.
Now, the substance that she has a history with, is it marijuana? Is it meth, or what is it exactly?
It's meth and marijuana.
Meth and marijuana. Okay. So it's not just, liking a little weed or something.
That's correct.
Okay. And you would ask that if there are recommendations, did you say a psychological or just to begin counseling?
Just to begin counseling. And mainly Angel Flores would start out with a psychosocial assessment and then go from there.
And then would you be asking that she follow any recommendations that come out of that psychosocial assessment?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be anything that Mr. Flores might recommend as a result of that.
Yes.
Okay. Or any services that are recommended as a result of the ADAC assessment.
Yes.
Okay. Are you also requesting that mom, as a starting point, provide a hair follicle?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Rios, special investigator, this was Eric Sanders, correct?
Yes.
And he was able to locate Cassandra and the children on January 20th of this year at 2, correct?
That's correct.
And he was admitted to the home, correct?
Yes.
And he reported no concerns for either Cassandra's appearance or with the children, correct?
That's correct.
Was he allowed to walk around through the home and inspect it to his satisfaction?
Yes.
Did you assist Cassandra in getting this residence or home?
So during this case, I did provide her with a housing referral. I don't know if this house is from that housing referral, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Have you done any background work to see if she has a lease on that home?
I have not.
Okay. Now the children were actually formally withdrawn from school, correct?
Kalia, when I started this case, Kalia was not in school. Mom had reported that she did not want to enroll her in school at the time because she did not plan on staying at her mother's for very long, and she didn't want to transfer her to another school. And then I learned that Ariana had been withdrawn from school.
Okay, and this was because Cassandra was going to homeschool then, correct?
I don't know. I hadn't spoken to Cassandra since, like I said, our last conversation was December 22nd, and that was just about delivering gifts.
Well, you referenced earlier in your testimony regarding one of the girls not being in school because she was being homeschooled, correct?
That was Kalia, yes. So that statement had been made about Kalia being homeschooled, but I didn't know anything about Ariana being homeschooled.
Okay, have you discussed with Cassandra or her homeschool plan at all?
I have not been able to have a discussion with her.
Okay, but you were in contact with Cassandra when one of the girls was being homeschooled, correct?
Yes.
All right, and I guess from your lack of testimony in that regard, I believe you didn't have any real educational concerns at that point, did you?
Well, I had told her that I thought that it would be a good idea to go ahead and enroll Kalia, and that she could possibly request that the child remain at the school so that she didn't have to move her. I did talk to her about that.
Okay, but there's nothing in any of the court filings that say you or the department had concerns for Kalia by virtue of being homeschooled, correct?
At the time, no, I did not.
Okay. And you don't have any additional information in that regard?
No, I would say my main concern with them not being in school is just that they don't have that outside support system and the fact that they're isolated at this time.
Now you said isolated, but the department was admitted to the home and allowed to inspect to its satisfaction, correct?
That's correct.
At one point you stated that drug use concerns were being addressed by her providing reports from her OB-GYN during her current pregnancy, correct?
So during the investigation, it was found that she was testing through her OB and that she was negative. Whenever Eric Sanders was assigned to this case, he contacted the OB's office, and all they told him was that she was doing what she needed to for her pregnancy, but they didn't release any further information because there was not a release signed. So we don't know anything about any current drug testing.
Have you requested that Cassandra execute a release for the department in that regard?
I have not, but I think that would be something good, something that we could order or ask for the court to order.
Right, or just the department could have requested at any point during this case?
Yes, however, I have not had any further contact with her since December 22nd.
All right, Eric Sanders had that contact, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now you talked about unable to determine on the reason for the initial intake. Concerns were meth use around the children or drug use around the children, and also exposure to domestic violence, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now in your affidavit, first of all, that Cassandra denied domestic violence around the children. You noted that an outcry from one of the children was only about verbal arguments. There was no physical contact. You noted that Cassandra had denied meth use. You noted that she was testing negative.
Objection, Your Honor. There needs to be a question somewhere in this. Mr. Harrelson's not the person giving testimony.
Your Honor, I'm reciting what's filed with the court in the affidavit, and we'll follow up with a question.
If you could get to your question, that's sustained.
You ruled out, you ruled out drug use because of OB-GYN, and the children denied drug use. Your Honor, I don't know how I can set up this question without going through this affidavit. I'm cross-examining the witness based on her concerns that she says are ruled out.
Well,
Sorry.
I believe you asked the question just then. Did you rule out the concern of domestic violence? Or I thought you were getting there.
Well, I'll try again if I may. You stated unable to determine in your affidavit, and then you went through a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 specific items that pretty much show where.
And we still haven't got a question. Objection, Your Honor. If he wants to testify, he can be a witness, but he needs to stop telling what's in an affidavit and use the actual witness.
Your Honor, I'm going to get done with this here in about 5 seconds.
That's overruled. Finish
Thank
your
you,
question.
Your Honor. It seems to me, y'all are in the wrong office. Apologize for that. What was it about those conclusions that led you to unable to determine as opposed to ruled out?
Well, she denied the
Judge,
domestic.
I'm going to object because there's been no testimony that she was the one that made the ruling. That it was the department that made the ruling. There's no indication that Ms. Rios is actually the person who made the ruling.
Well, Your Honor, who's
Ms.
the department?
Moore, 1 second, please. 1 second. Ms. Moore, you opened the door when you asked the questions about the affidavit. The objection is overruled. She can answer the question.
Okay, well, they were unable to determine. She had denied domestic violence in the presence of the children. However, whenever I completed the family strength needs assessment, she did admit to domestic violence between her and Fernando, with an incident just 2 weeks prior to the time that I met with her. The concerns of the drug use were also unable to determine because she was testing negative through her OB. However, one of the kids was aware of this occurring in the home.
I believe the child said that she was aware of marijuana use, had no idea of the source or where it was being used, correct?
She was aware of it occurring in the home, did not know. She said it was away from her and her sister, and that she had not seen it and did not know where it was kept. But she did say it was occurring in the home.
And the children confirmed that there was no physical domestic, correct?
They only outcried to verbal abuse. Yes, that's correct.
And they denied seeing any physical violence when asked, correct?
Yes.
So have you not had any contact with Cassandra since this case was filed?
No, I have not.
Have you attempted to reach her?
Yes, I have.
In what manner did you attempt to reach her?
Phone calls, text messages. Once we located the home, I went over to the home as scheduled.
When was your last attempt?
It would have been January the 23rd.
So at that point, you ceased all efforts to contact Cassandra?
At that point, our only option was to file for court-ordered services because she was refusing to cooperate with the department or to have any contact with me.
Now, why was that your only option as far as contact or attempted contact was concerned?
Because many efforts had been made prior to that.
So is it department policy that once you filed a petition or request for court-ordered services, you cease all attempts to contact the parent?
She, again, I mean, she was not responding to any of my contacts at this point. This was my own.
I'm objecting, asking, as far as non-responsive. My question was, is it department policy to cease all contact or attempts at contact with a parent once the department has filed a petition for court-ordered services?
No.
But that's what happened here.
Yes.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Betty, questions?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Ms. Rios, what was the start date of your involvement in this case? The date?
It opened to family-based safety services on October 20th.
And when you communicated with Ms. Suarez at that time, were you confident she understood the reason for your concerns?
Yes.
And you've been consistent with communicating with her about what your concerns are?
Yes.
So is there any doubt in your mind that she understands and has understood throughout the time from October to today's date that the department has concerns about the safety of her children in her presence?
Yes.
Okay, so we know she knows that. Now, as far as contact information, how many times have you provided her contact information for you?
You mean like whenever I call her and ask her to call me back?
Call, leave cards, give it paperwork, that sort of thing. How many times?
Numerous times. I mean,
10, 12, 5?
over
I guess.
probably 15, 20. I don't know, a lot. I mean, every contact.
Right. And Mr. Sanders, Detective Sanders, he also has a business card?
Yes.
He also provides contact information?
Yes.
Now, the schooling situation, I'm a little puzzled because it sounds to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds to me like these children have had no education to speak of since October.
Objection, Your Honor, assuming, well, he's given his opinion, first of all, or his impression, and he's assuming facts not in evidence.
There's been a whole lot of evidence about education, Judge. I'm just trying to get her to testify to it again.
Overruled. She can answer.
As far as for Kalia, yes, I would say from that date, and for Ariana, I would say since school was let out for the Christmas holidays.
Okay. And at a certain point, how many days missing school do you think those excuses are the reasons don't matter anymore? How many days of not being educated is okay for a kid?
I believe they allow 10.
Okay. Now, if a parent doesn't take their children to school like they're supposed to, there is a criminal system that is in effect that can be, a person can be charged for that. Does the department rely upon the findings of a criminal court or any other entity, or do they make their own independent judgment about whether the education needs of a child are being met?
The department does.
Okay. So in your opinion, are the educational needs of these two children being met right now?
Not at this time, no.
Does it raise any concerns for the department as a part of its policy, or you as an investigator, that a child in the home knows about frequent drug use in the home?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor, mischaracterization of testimony. There's no statement about frequent drug use.
Sustained.
Does it concern you that a child in the home is aware of drug use in the home?
Yes.
Is there any reason to believe that drug use has changed or modified or gone lighter, other than the testimony regarding the OBGYN's testing?
There's no reason, no.
Has the mother in this case indicated to you that it is her pattern to go back to drug use the minute she completes her pregnancy?
Yes.
Do you have any reason to believe that the conditions existing right now are going to change if this court doesn't take action?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Is something going to change if we don't do anything? Is it just,
No.
is she going to fix it?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor, speculation.
No further questions, Judge. Thanks.
Ms. Moore, additional questions?
A few. Ms. Rios, you were asked about how much contact you attempted after the petition was filed. May I assume that this is not the only case you're involved in?
That's correct.
Okay. And is there a history or a pattern now that's developed where Ms. Suarez will not contact you or respond to your contacts?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you believe that she would if you continued making the effort?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor. Speculation.
So overruled.
You can answer.
No, I mean, there's already a pattern where she was not responding to any calls or texts.
Okay. And so in addition to the two children that we've talked about, there's concern that there's a third one on the way.
Yes.
All right. And although, do you know whether or not at the OBGYN, do you know whether or not there was any hair follicle testing done?
No,
So do you know whether it was blood testing or urine testing?
I don't know specifically what type of testing.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Moore, any additional witnesses?
No additional witnesses, Your Honor, just some argument.
All right. And you're resting at this time?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Harrelson,
I call Cassandra Suarez.
you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, first of all, are you homeschooling the girls?
Yes.
All right. How long have you been doing that?
Ariana, she just started about a month ago, give or take. And Kalia, she's been doing it for 4 months now. Since the beginning of this school year.
Do you have homeschool educational materials?
Yes, we work with Discovery K-12 online. It's a free program and it gives all of the courses, reading, math, science, history, social studies, and they do it at their own pace.
How many hours a day do you work with the girls during school days?
Probably just like 4 to 5
Are
hours.
they current in the program that you are using?
Yes.
What grade is Ariana in?
Ariana's 7th.
And Kalia?
Kalia's 2nd.
Did you withdraw the girls from school?
Yes, I did.
When did you do that?
Kalia's been with Drew since last year, before the beginning of this school year. So this school year, she was never even enrolled at all. She's was stayed with Drew since the summer release of last year. And Ariana got with Drew January 21st this year.
That's when you did a formal withdrawal?
Yes,
Okay, when did school start of this year? Do you know?
I don't.
So if school started before January, did you say 23rd?
21st.
Okay, 21st. If school started before January 21st, then she would have just been absent from school until you had formally withdrawn her, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were you homeschooling her prior to the formal withdrawal?
Ariana, no. It was Christmas break, so I wasn't even sure the situation with, my mother kicking us out.
So where do you currently live? Is that a home?
Yes,
And do you rent that home?
yes.
How did you find that home to rent?
A friend, she told me about the landlord, sweet lady, and she's been helping me ever since.
Okay. Do you have a lease contract?
Yes,
And is your name on that contract?
yes.
How much is the rent?
The rent is $750.
Are you currently paid up?
Yes.
How do you afford to pay the rent?
She works with me as well as child support.
Okay, now, do you receive child support for Ariana?
Yes,
And how much do you receive a month?
600.
Okay. Do you have any other source of income or assistance?
No,
Okay. Are you currently applying for any other sources of income or assistance?
only through the Concho Valley, I did apply. That's just been within the few days that I applied for assistance.
Okay, you said the Concho Valley. Can you be more specific?
The community action.
So you have applied through Concho Valley Community Action?
Yes,
Do you know what kind of assistance they provide?
they're supposed to be providing me with a voucher to help me get the landlord caught up with rent prior to the housing authorities. I have not gotten a voucher from housing yet. So I've been doing everything on my own.
Are you able to get adequate food for the children?
Yes,
Are they appropriately dressed?
yes,
Are you able to pay your bills?
yes,
Do you have electricity, water, all the utilities?
water, Wi-Fi, the works.
Are you currently enrolled or taking any counseling through Angel Flores?
No, I'm not.
And do you recall Ms. Rios referred you to Angel Flores and you agreed to do counseling with him?
Yes, sir.
What happened with that?
I called and left messages to set up appointments before the Christmas holiday, and then I never got contacted back on that.
So at that point, did you just let it drop or did you keep trying?
I just let it drop.
Are you willing to participate in counseling with Angel Flores if you can get that arranged?
Yes, the issue, I never denied any help. I never denied any assistance from any department. I was willing to do everything I could possibly do for me and my children. Any kind of counseling is always a good thing. So it was just a transportation issue, which Miss Rios said that she would be able to take me, but I never got in contact with her anymore about if I needed a ride, if anything.
So from the testimony, it seems like contact ended between you and Miss Rios a little bit right around Christmas time. Is that correct?
Right, yes.
Okay. Why did you stop contacting Miss Rios?
I was asking her for help through any type of shelters, possibly that me and my daughter at the time, just Kalia, could go to. And she was telling me where to call, and I would call and they weren't able to get me in. So I just got frustrated and just quit contacting her because she wasn't able to help me at that point.
So why were you seeking help from shelters?
My mother kicked us out a little after Thanksgiving.
So where were you living between the time your mother kicked you out after Thanksgiving and the house on Volney?
I was living with my brother for a week or so. Hotels. I was just, me and the girls were staying hotel to hotel to hotel to hotel.
Like at a week at a time or for how long?
Yes, I would get it for weeks at a time. Yeah, like a week here, a week there.
Were you able to provide adequate food for the girls during that time?
Yes.
Okay. So you were kicked out a little after Thanksgiving. Did you let Miss Rios know that you had been kicked out of the home?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I told her the night or the very next day that it happened.
All right. Did you keep her informed of where you were living during that time?
Yes. I called her when I got to my brother's and I let her know I was there at my brother's, but I also let her know that my brother's was not going to be a permanent situation. If she had any other resources, maybe even out of town family shelters that she could refer me to, and she never got back with me about that.
Did you let her know when you were staying in a motel?
No.
Do you know how to get in contact with Miss Rios?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Sanders came to your home do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Did you let him in the home?
Yes, I did. He
You let him-
called and texted me prior, and so I already knew when he was coming. I gave him my address and told him yes, I wanted to speak with him to let him know about the miscommunication that was going on between me and Miss Rios. I think she's been in contact with my mother, but not with me.
Okay.
She's
Now
been talking to her, but not me.
who has been talking to your mother?
Miss Rios.
But you haven't called Miss Rios either, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so from your point of view, is it out of basically frustration that you stopped contacting Miss Rios?
I'll object to the leading.
That's sustained.
Why did you stop contacting Miss Rios?
Because the Mr. Sanders, I believe, he got in contact with me, and so from there I just started communicating with him. Miss Rios never contacted me once he was able to get in touch with me. I never heard from her.
Have you been in contact with Mr. Sanders since he came to your home?
Yes,
How many times?
3.
What was the reason for that contact?
I received your letter in the mail that you're representing me. And also I had somebody come to my door saying they were CPS. That was on my Ring doorbell. So I contacted him and asked him questions sent him a picture of the image from my doorbell and asked him if, he worked with a department, and he told me no. And I also asked, why am I going to court? When he came to the home, I was under the impression that the case was going to be closed. There was not going to be no further proceedings, but I'm guessing something happened in between then and now, and now we're here.
Are you willing to do an ADAC drug and alcohol assessment?
Yes,
And are you still getting your OB-GYN prenatal appointments?
yes.
And when is your expected child due?
May 7th.
Who is your doctor?
I can't pronounce it.
Do you recall January 20th, 23? Ms. Rios has stated that she came to your home and knocked, and nobody would let her in.
No, I do not. I was not aware of her coming to my home at all.
Okay, do you believe you were home at that time when she came by, or do you know?
It's possible that I was, but I've always opened the door to Miss Rios. I would have opened it, and I would have definitely talked to her.
So do you believe that the children, Ariana and Kalia, are currently at risk now being in your care without CPS involvement?
No.
Are you meeting their educational needs?
Yes.
Are you meeting their physical needs?
Yes.
Is there a man in your life right now?
No.
Who is the father of your expected child?
Fernando Martinez.
And where is he?
He's currently incarcerated at the Tom Green County Jail.
I'll pass a witness.
So on January the 23rd, Mr. Sanders had arranged for Ms. Rios to come to your home for a visit. Isn't that correct?
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, you said that someone came and knocked on your door. Are you saying that wasn't Ms. Rios?
Correct. No, it wasn't Miss Rios. It was another man. It was another male. And so I was trying to figure out who it was, but no, it wasn't Miss Rios.
Okay. And so on the 23rd of January, did you get a call from Mr. Sanders asking why you wouldn't open the door to Ms. Rios?
No.
And you didn't tell him at that point that you weren't going to work services?
At what point?
At the point that he called you, did you ever tell Mr. Sanders that you were not going to work services?
Yes, I did tell him that.
All right. And that was because you were frustrated that the resources that Ms. Rios had given you couldn't help you. Is that correct?
No.
All
At
right.
the time that he reached out to me, I already had my home. I had my bills. I didn't need any help anymore after Mr. Sanders came in and came to my home. And after that, I didn't see any need for me to continue with anything.
But you had earlier agreed to work services with Ms. Rios. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so at some point, did you notify her that you weren't going to work the services?
No, I did not.
And did you tell her during one of the initial interviews, that it is your pattern to go back to methamphetamine use and drug use once you deliver a child.
No,
So that's just a
not
lie.
true. I didn't state that. I said it, I felt as a mother, it would be best for me to get any type of services so that way I can continue my sobriety after I have the baby. I don't have addiction issues.
Do you,
This is
have
the
you
first
used,
time.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Have you in the past used methamphetamine?
No,
Never.
not during a pregnancy, or I've never been in trouble or on CPS or anything like that for methamphetamine. No.
No, I'm not asking if you've ever been in trouble for it. I'm asking, have you ever used methamphetamine?
Yes.
And if a hair follicle was taken today, would there be methamphetamine, do you believe, in the hair follicle testing?
I don't know how hair follicle testings work, but no.
Okay. When did you sign up with this K9 through 12 or K through 12 thing?
After I withdrew Ariana.
All right. And so, but you were homeschooling Kalia all last fall, right?
Right. Through
But-
books. It wasn't online, it was through books.
And what was the source of those books?
The source of the books?
Yeah. In other words, did you were you just like getting books off a shelf and teaching her stuff, or what?
No, they have books with their proper grade level, and she works worksheets out of those books based on her grade level.
Who has books? You said they have books.
So,
Who has books?
the stores, Walmart has, kindergarten, all through elementary books for her grade level that she does worksheets out that Miss Rios has seen before.
So you're saying that you showed her the books that you were using to teach Kalia from,
Yes,
but those were not through any educational company or educational service. They were just books you picked up at Walmart and you were having her do some worksheets.
yes.
Did you talk to the people at the family shelter when you were referred there for the domestic violence class?
Yes, ma'am.
And did they in fact turn you away or say that they couldn't assist you because you were primarily the aggressor?
Yes, ma'am.
And so sounds pretty much like your idea is that all of this is really the department's fault that we're here today. Is that right?
No, not at all.
Well, you said that you got frustrated and you just quit responding. But I heard you say that the sources that Ms. Rios provided you couldn't assist you. Is that correct?
One of the sources that she referred didn't want, I guess, to assist me for whatever reasons.
Okay. And so she provided you what, only one source?
No, 3, I believe.
And what about the other 2? Were they able to assist you?
Yes, ma'am. I set up appointments, but it was just lack of transportation.
But did you reach out to Ms. Rios to say, hey, listen, I need some transportation to get to this resource that you gave me?
Yes.
Oh, you did. And did she refuse to drive you or what?
No, it was just during the Christmas holidays, so we were just waiting for all the holidays to pass and the new year to begin, and then communication just stopped. I never heard from her.
So the communication is really her fault.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well,
It was just
why
it was
did
just
you,
miscommunication.
when she reached out to you, either by phone call or by text message, why did you refuse to call her back or text her back?
She was not contacting me. She was contacting my mother, and she was still going to Anita.
So when was the last time you had any kind of text message from Ms. Rios?
The day she delivered my kids' Christmas presents.
So you're saying that she made absolutely no effort after that to contact you in any manner since December the 22nd?
If she did, I didn't receive anything, and my mother told me, yes, that she was trying to get in contact with me.
Okay, so when your mother told you that Denise Rios was trying to get in contact with you, did you call Ms. Rios back?
No, I did not.
You just essentially didn't want to be involved with the department. Is that a fair and accurate statement?
No, like I said, Mr. Sanders was already in contact with me, so I didn't know if he was the only person I needed to contact. So I was communicating with him instead.
Well, did your mother ever tell you that Mr. Sanders was trying to get in touch with you, or did your mother tell you specifically that Ms. Rios was trying to get in touch with you?
She never specified. She just said CPS.
Oh, okay. And you thought, well, I'll just call Mr. Sanders back.
Mr. Sanders, yes, he was the one that actually was texting, and we have text messages, and I gave him my address and let him know where I was at and had him come by and see the girls and make contact. And I did explain to him that I was frustrated with Miss Rios because me and the girls were homeless all through the Christmas holidays, New Year's, and you know, I was a little frustrated about that. Now that I have a home and I'm doing everything on my own, I don't understand why the reason of, you know, her reaching out now when I didn't need her anymore.
I'll pass witness.
Mr. Betty, questions?
No questions, Judge. Thank you. Have a nice.
Mr. Harrelson?
No redirect, Your Honor.
All right. Any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
All right. Mr. Betty, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge. Just statement.
All right. So I'll say closing argument at this time, Ms. Moore.
Judge, I will add, thank you, Your Honor. I'll please the court. I'll ask that the court order the services that Ms. Suarez originally agreed to work. She's even said here today that she would work them, that she would work with Mr. Flores, and that she was willing to take an ADAC assessment. So I will ask that those things be made in order of the court. If it turns out that, you know, Mr. Flores talks to her and decides, hey, this woman doesn't need counseling, then he can report that to the court. If ADAC says, hey, she doesn't need, you know, she's fine, she doesn't need any follow-up or anything, then that's fine. But it sounds to me that these children, especially the older one, being homeschooled out of Walmart books, and I understand that's certainly not, you know, it seems to me that the education of the children, at least in the fall, if not in the spring, has been lacking, because apparently one of them, Aaliyah, went for several weeks without homeschooling or schooling of any kind. And there's now another child coming into the world It seems like that this is a family that needs some monitoring to assure the safety of the 2 children that exist and the safety of the unborn. And I will ask the court to order those particular services.
Thank you, Mr. Harrelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sandra went on her own. She has a home. She provides for the children. She's getting medical care. She receives child support. She's applying for community benefits on her own. Your Honor, she believes the children are cared for and that she does not require CPS assistance. And we also have a question here. Is this monitoring or assistance or both? And I understand the concerns of everyone involved, but Cassandra doesn't believe she needs it. She doesn't believe that this CPS intervention is required at this time, and we're asking the court to deny the petition for court-ordered services.
Thank you, Mr. Betty.
Clearly, we're hearing different hearings today. The credibility of the witness is solely for the judge to determine and judge and gauge the value of their testimony. Very seldom does a parent come into court and say they believe they have wrongly denied access to the CPS. Ms. Rios's testimony was clear, was professional. She understood what her responsibilities were. She's been attempting to get Ms. Suarez to cooperate with her now since October. Ms. Suarez was only in contact when she thought she could get something to benefit her. That's not the way the CPS system works. It's not the purpose of it. The purpose is to make sure that these children are taken care of. Right now, there are no eyes on these kids. None. The only person we have to rely on to make sure that these kids are being taken care of is Suarez, and clearly her testimony wasn't credible today. Her testimony is also that the man in her life, that is the unborn child's father, is incarcerated. So that she has no help from him, and she's estranged from her own mother. No other evidence of support or family support is in existence. And her own testimony failed to establish that she has the financial wherewithal to even pay her rent, much less food, Wi-Fi, and all the other things that she seems to have. There's a disconnect between the evidence that was given and the truth. I can't determine what it is from here, but I can determine that the court has a responsibility to make sure these children have somebody else's eyes on them. Because right now, as far as I can tell, they could be dead in the backyard for all I can tell. No one's seen them. No one's talked to them since Mr. Sanders was there. We need to get some eyes on these kids and find out what they're going to say, Judge, when they're not under the influence of the mother. And it's time to get some court-ordered services. Frankly, I'm not a little surprised we're not doing a removal case.
I object at this point. He's already said the kids could be dead in the backyard, and he's still going. I believe he's made his point, and you need to cut off his argument.
Whatever. I'm done, Judge. Thank you.
All right. I appreciate the advocacy in the case for all the parties. I also appreciate that the department has a job to do and concerns about the children, and Ms. Suarez has come a long way, it sounds like, in getting a lot of things accomplished for herself. What I did not hear and what I am still concerned about is the continued drug testing. There's been no release of information to obtain that to determine sobriety. I did not hear about a curriculum for the homeschool that was clear to me. And I did not hear about the ability to get counseling on her own. What I did hear was that there were periods of homelessness, there were transportation issues, there are lots of things that could be roadblocks to getting the kind of services that may help this family succeed in the future. So I am finding that the court has jurisdiction to hear the case, and that a person of ordinary prudence and caution would find that there's a substantial risk of abuse or neglect or continuing danger to the physical health or safety of the children, such that services are necessary to alleviate those concerns. And I am court ordering the following services. So I am opening a case, Ms. Suarez, and from this point forward, it'll be the court that's checking in to determine if both parties, if department has done its job and if you have done what I'm asking you to do. So here's what I'm asking. I want a hair follicle test for Ms. Suarez, Ariane, and Kalia to be completed by February 28th of 2023. I also would like a UA test of Ms. Suarez. If Ms. Suarez is positive on either the hair follicle or the UA, then I am requesting that she be referred to ADAC and she do an ADAC assessment. If she's not positive on either one of those, then no referral to ADAC is necessary. I'm requesting by February 28th of 2023 that Ms. Suarez provide to her attorney, Mr. Harrelson, proof of enrollment in school for both Ariana or Kalia, or the curriculum that she is using for the homeschool. If it's K through 12 curriculum, I would like you to turn over the documents that your daughters are completing, what grade level they're on, and how they're being evaluated for their compliance with that. So either enrollment or the curriculum by February 28th, 2023 to Mr. Harrelson so that he can disseminate that to the other attorneys in the case. By our next hearing, which will be March the 27th, I want Ms. Suarez enrolled in individual counseling. That can either be with Mr. Flores or a counselor of her choosing. If she has Medicaid and chooses to go to West Texas guidance and counseling on her own, she can choose one, but she needs to have the appointment scheduled, if not already completed, by our next hearing on March the 27th. I understand there's often a delay, which is why we're giving you the time to March the 27th to get that appointment scheduled or completed. I am also ordering a release for the OB/GYN records regarding drug testing and limited to the drug testing of Ms. Suarez to be completed and turned over to Mr. Harrelson by February 28th of 2023, and then turned over to the department and the ad litem so that we can determine that she has been attending her OB/GYN appointments and she has been testing negative as she's previously stated. I believe those services are narrowly tailored to address the issues that are the concerns of the department. If Ms. Suarez, you're negative on your hair follicle, you get signed up with counseling and you're able to demonstrate the curriculum that your children are receiving, then it's possible this is a very, very short case. If those things happen by March 27th, then I would agree that you've done everything that needs to be done to alleviate the concerns, but those things need to be done between now and then to make this court comfortable that you're in a good place and you're ready to move forward. I see that you've gotten started with your housing, which is a great start, but there's a few more things the court's concerned about. So our next setting will be March the 27th of 2023 at 10:30 a.m. Questions or clarifications, Ms. Moore?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Harrelson?
No, Your Honor. Cassandra, I will call you this afternoon. I've got a hearing first part of the afternoon. Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or clarifications, Mr. Betty?
I just asked the court to make sure Ms. Suarez understands that I need to visit with these kids, and I'm not trying to pry into her life, but I do need to meet with my clients.
That's correct, Ms. Suarez. He's the attorney for the kids, and since they're not in school, normally he would visit with them in the community, but if they're at your house the whole time, he'll need to come by your house and visit with them or make arrangements to meet with him in a public place. But that needs to happen before our next hearing so he can give me a report that the kids are indeed doing fine. Take a good look at Mr. Betty's face. He'll be the one showing up to
Yes,
visit
ma'am.
with the kids. Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
very much. All right, so until March the 27th at 10:30 a.m., we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge.